The show Lucifer sprung onto the television scene back in 2016 and has had a cult-like following ever since. The show, which is often described as an urban fantasy television series, is produced by Fox and is based on a DC Comics character from a series of comics called The Sandman. In the show, the main character Lucifer, played by Tom Ellis, is a man who lives in Los Angeles, owns a nightclub, and is a consultant to the LAPD. The show has a lot of fantastical scenes, including ones where Lucifer shows off his devil face and gigantic wings. Watching the craziness unfold on the screen, it leads one to wonder how they made all of the fantastical fight scenes look so amazing. Of course, the show uses a lot of special effects in its production, combining practical effects with other types of visual effects like CGI. This means that when the actors from the show we know and love, like Tom Ellis and Lauren German, are on set, things look pretty different from the way they end up looking by the time they reach our televisions. In today's video, we'll be covering the behind-the-scenes CGI of Lucifer and see what it really looks like. You don't want to miss this list. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We are giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. 1. Tight budget. One of the challenges of producing a show like Lucifer is that it has a much higher CGI budget than a special effects budget on a feature-length film would have. As a result, the crew and editors for Lucifer have to be much more creative about the special effects techniques, and sometimes sacrifices in visuals have to be made because of time constraints or the budget. When the show was first starting out and being produced by Fox, the budget was noticeably smaller. The pilot and the first 2 seasons were filmed in the less expensive location of Vancouver, Canada, before being relocated to Los Angeles, California for season 3. As the show changed production companies from Fox to Netflix between seasons 3 and 4, some of the special effects techniques were altered to reflect the new $38.5 million budget provided by Netflix. While the visual effects on Lucifer definitely improved over time, the original seasons that were shot in Vancouver still looked pretty good. Even though the show was operating on a tight budget, the cast and crew worked hard to make the visual effects convincing. Additionally, the actors did a great job convincing the audience that what was on the screen in the finished product was what they were seeing in real life. Great work, guys! 2. Stunt doubles. Another thing you might not know about Lucifer is that most of the main cast has stunt doubles that do the tricky fighting scenes for them. This means that on set, there are doubles of the main cast walking around at all times. In fact, many of the cast stunt doubles look pretty similar to the actors in real life. Tom Ellis and his stunt double, Mike Carpenter, look like they could be related. In fact, Carpenter opened up in an interview about a time he was mistaken for Ellis on set. Apparently, Tom Ellis had been up to some mischief on set that day, and he had been speeding and doing tricks with one of the cars they were filming with. Later, when Carpenter was returning the car to the hangar, one of the workers came up to him and said, "I don't give a bleep who you are and think you are. Any more speeding around here, I'm shutting you guys down." Yikes! Carpenter was a pretty good sport about it, though, saying, "It looks like I'm destined to be taking all the hits for Tom in more ways than one." It's good that this incident didn't cause a rift between the two actors. 3. Practical effects. One of the types of effects that Lucifer uses is called a practical effect. A practical effect is an effect produced without computer generation. Instead, prop makers and set designers make physical objects or add changes to the scene that produce a visual effect without having to use more expensive or advanced CGI techniques. The show Lucifer employs a lot of practical effects, especially in earlier seasons when the budget for the show's production was tighter. In earlier seasons, many of the more fantastical creatures in the show, such as Lucifer when he's appearing as the devil, achieved their look with makeup and practical effect masks. In later seasons, some of the makeup and transformation techniques were switched over to CGI. If you noticed that there were some differences in characters' appearances between season 1 and season 3 and beyond, these changes to the types of effects utilized by the show might be the reason why. 4. Lucifer's wings. One of the biggest effects produced on the show Lucifer is definitely Lucifer's wings. In the show, Lucifer has large wings, which are symbolic of his past as a fallen angel from heaven. These wings have always been achieved using CGI and other forms of digital visual effects, but they are also a large point of contention for fans of the show. In the earlier seasons of Lucifer, many fans complained that the CGI on Lucifer's wings looked bad, and that they did not think the effect looked realistic at all. Of course, earlier seasons of Lucifer did not have the largest budget, and since CGI takes a lot of time and money to produce, it seems that the show just didn't have enough money to produce realistic-looking wings. Lucifer's wings got a complete revamp when the show's budget increased for season 3. However, for season 3, the producers of Lucifer hired a company called Cosa VFX to do the visual special effects on the show. This Emmy award-winning company has done special effects on shows like Westworld and movies like Guardians of the Galaxy. Once Cosa VFX was involved, Lucifer's wings looked astronomically better. In fact, the team was able to create much more advanced imagery than the show had ever seen before, including blood and injuries on Lucifer's wings in some episodes. It truly was a massive improvement. 5. Production changes. Most of the notable changes to the show's visual effects and CGI occurred when the show experienced some production changes following season 3. From seasons 1 to 3, the show was produced by Fox and had a much lower budget than later seasons. Though the series picked up fans and a cult-like following while on Fox, the ratings were relatively low, and the reviews of the first season of Lucifer were mixed at best. Fox kept the show on for 2 more seasons, and the ratings did improve somewhat, but it wasn't enough. After season 3, Fox announced that it was canceling the show altogether. Both actors on the show and fans alike were extremely disappointed, and many took to social media to campaign for the show's revival. Hashtags like Save Lucifer and Pick Up Lucifer trended on Twitter. Additionally, an online petition asking Lucifer to be resumed for a 4th season on a new network made the rounds. After a month of campaigning, Netflix picked up the 4th season of the show, bringing a lot of budget and production changes with it. Since Netflix was able to produce the show with a much larger budget, the CGI and special effects on the show improved tremendously. 6. Changes to Lucifer's devil face. One of the special effects elements of the show that has seemed to change the most over the years is Lucifer's devil face. This is both due to changes in the show's production budget and developments in special effects technology over the years. The improvements made have not just been about how much better the effect looks on screen either. The new techniques used for effects are often much easier on the actors and crew as well. When asked about the changes that have been made to Lucifer's devil face over the years, Ellis said, "It's incredible how much technology has evolved in that department. It used to be a laborious process with me and a green screen. Now I don't have to do any of that. It takes barely a few minutes. I have to put like a few tracking dots on my face with a bald cap. I look like I have measles." What Ellis is describing here is the transition from a mix of digital and practical effects to strict CGI. In the early days of the show, a devil mask was created on Ellis's face using a mix of practical effects and makeup, and then Ellis would perform the scene in front of a green screen. Nowadays, Ellis performs the scene looking completely normal with just a few tracking dots on his face, and then Lucifer's devil face is added on in post-production using CGI. 7. Tom Ellis is the real deal. To wrap things up, I'm going to tell you about one element of the show you may have thought was CGI or a stunt double, but wasn't. Tom Ellis's nude scenes in the show. Yes, that's right. Every time Tom Ellis appeared nude on the show, it was actually him. Often on television and in movies, actors choose to have a body double or special effects for nude scenes instead of showing their real body. Considering how steamy some of the scenes in Lucifer get, many fans speculated that Ellis was probably using a body double for this part of his role. However, Ellis recently set the record straight in an interview. He does all of his own nude scenes, and he's proud of it. Once the show was moved to Netflix, they were able to show much more nudity than they were originally able to on network television. When asked about his decision to bear it all on the show, Ellis responded, "That's all my own nudity this year. I also lost a bet to my trainer when we got picked up for season 4, which meant I had to get back into a different kind of shape than I'd been in before. I had a moment of pride with how I felt and how I looked. I wasn't against the idea of nudity. Hopefully, for the fans, Ellis decides to partake in more steamy scenes in future episodes of Lucifer." And with that, we wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.